The Bible has had an incredible impact on the English language, in particular through the King James Bible. And one interesting impact that it's had is that some Hebrew idioms, idioms from the Old Testament, idioms from the Hebrew language, or idioms that may occur in the New Testament because Aramaic or Hebrew would have been spoken and used by Jesus and his disciples and things like that, so they're not preserved in Greek, that these idioms weren't necessarily translated as idioms, but were translated more directly. And so a Hebrew idiom becomes part of the English language. I'll give you an example from John chapter 17. And it says this, it's speaking about Judas, and it says in John 17:12, Jesus says, when I was with them, I kept them in your name, which you've given me. I've guarded them, and not one of them has been lost except the son of destruction, that the scripture might be fulfilled. Son of destruction, son of perdition. That is a Hebrew idiom or a Semitic idiom, meaning the one doomed to destruction. So you would speak of him as a son of perdition or a son of hell, meaning that he is doomed to hell or doomed to destruction. We don't use that in English, and therefore, rather than saying son of destruction, it would be better to say one doomed to destruction. You know, in Hebrew, if you are a dreamer, you can be called a master of dreams, but you wouldn't want to translate it from Hebrew into English like that. Better to say a dreamer than a master of dreams. Now, some of the idioms do work. You know, a Hebrew idiom for being generous is open-handed. A Hebrew idiom for being stingy is being tight-fisted. Those idioms work. But otherwise, what happens sometimes is that the idioms have not been translated as idioms. They've been translated fairly literally, like son of destruction. And now this idiom comes into English, but it doesn't have that same meaning in English. You say, what does son of destruction mean? It means one doomed to destruction. So when translating an idiom, it's always important to put it in the proper idiomatic terms in the language you're translating into. Otherwise, you can have some confusion.